Good morning, everyone. Believe me, I wish I was with you right now instead of where I'm at. So, that out of the way, let's talk about the easiest assignment you're going to have this year and the easiest part of the Fallen Hero project. If you've done every other piece of the project correctly so far, this project is going to take you all of about 15 minutes today. If you haven't, then today's your opportunity to go back and do some of that stuff right and make that last-ditch email to me saying, I need help. So let's talk about how this is going to work for the vast majority of you. This is the merged timeline for Fallen Heroes, where we take the timeline from the personal data sheet, the timeline from the unit data sheet, and we bring those two things together. I'm going to show you how simple it is. So I'm using one of the projects from last year on a guy named William Gilmore. Okay? And down here, I'm going to copy over his personal timeline. I'm going to go into the unit data sheet and copy the timeline of his unit. I'm going to put that in the merged timeline. Now, I have a lot of pieces here, but I don't have all the pieces that I need because I got to make sure everything fits up together in its correct chronological order. So let's go through and see. Okay, we know that Gilmore enlisted for World War II in March of 42, and that's the last entry we have for him until we get to 45 when he's missing in action. So everything between March 9 of 1942 and March 19th of 45 is going to go in between those two parts. So we're going to go all the way down here. And we're actually going to take all of that unit data sheet, it looks like, except for even the very first part. And we are going to put it right smack in the middle here. So, I am probably going to break these out into kind of separate lines. Okay? You don't have to do this, but I just think it's a little easier to look at and make sure we got everything right. All right, you're getting to watch me hit a lot of enters in here. Whatevs. Okay, so let me show you how easy the writing process is going to be once you've put your two timelines together. Now first, every story starts with a hook, right? So you got to think about what the hook is. What do you know about your guy? Did he go to the same high school as you? Did he live near you? Were you involved in the same things in school? Was he a football player and you're a football player? Was he a musician and you're a musician? Maybe there's a hook that you found in the story where your guy died on the third anniversary of the day he joined. Maybe that's the story. One of you this year has a murder mystery as the story, which is incredible. And think about how a good murder mystery starts with a hook. So, you're going to think about the hook, but after the hook, you drop into chronology that brings you back to that hook. So, I am just going to read these items from the timeline, and we will basically have a paper written. Like if I was doing voice to text, I could probably write a paper doing this. So, I can say, William Gilmore was born October 31st, 1899 in Grove City, Mercer County, Pennsylvania, to his parents Elise and Otis. The Gilmores lived together as a family. Mom, Dad, his sister Elise, and his grandma. His brother Charles was born in 1908. William joined the Navy for World War I on April 5th, 1918, when he turned 18 years old. He served in the First World War and was honorably discharged from the Navy on April 28, 1919. While he was in the Navy, he had an important job. He was an aviation motor machinist mate, second class. At that point, it seemed like William Gilmore's service career was over. He came back to the United States and on January 1st of 1924, married Irene Ritter in Lucas County, Toledo, Ohio. William was 24 and Irene was 22. They moved back to Pennsylvania, and the family lived at 366 North Mount Vernon Avenue in Uniontown, and then moved back to Toledo in 1934. In March of 1942, the Navy called for William Gilmore again, and William Gilmore re-enlisted in the Navy with the same job he had had before, an aviation motor mechanics chief. This time he was going to join a different ship. On December 7, 1942, construction started on a new aircraft carrier called the USS Franklin. The ship was launched on October 14th of 1943 at Newport News, and James Shoemaker was put in command. Just a few weeks later, William Gilmore reported the USS Franklin for the first time. The ship left the U.S. East Coast and went towards Trinidad, and then from Trinidad went through the Panama Canal to Pearl Harbor. They arrived at Pearl Harbor in June of 44, and then deployed forward. On June 23rd, they joined Task Group 58.2 in Eniwetok in the Marshall Islands. On the 4th of July, William celebrated the holiday as few others have, with real-life fireworks instead of the kind we see. Franklin led an attack against the Bonin Islands in support of the Marianas assault, and then a few weeks later participated in the Marianas attack with a strike on Guam. But the Franklin's luck was about to change. In October of 1944, Franklin came under attack from enemy kamikaze planes and bombs on a number of times. On October 13th, there was suicide plane crash damage to the ship off the island of Formosa. 2 days later, the ship was bombed again as it went towards Manila Bay on Luzon in the Philippines. On October 30th, another suicide plane crash damaged the Franklin, 1,000 miles east of the island of Samar, as it was supporting the operations on Leyte Island. Franklin was repaired over the next few months and went back to war in March of 1945. Early in the morning of March 19th, Franklin was engaged in conducting airstrikes against the islands of Kyushu and Honshu. An enemy plane dropped 2 bombs on the masthead of the Franklin. It hit the hangar with the first bomb, setting off aviation fuel and explosive ammunition, and the elevator was hit with the second bomb, trapping sailors below, causing a string of explosions and fires within the ship. 724 men were killed that day, and 265 were wounded. But recent studies indicate those numbers were low, that the amount of dead may have been between 800 and 900. Among the dead was William Gilmore, who was listed as missing in action March 19, 1945. He was awarded the Purple Heart after death. And then you would have something that wraps it up at the end. Folks, do you see what I'm saying here? This is as easy as 3.14, right? All you're doing is taking those timelines, putting them together, turning each bit of the timeline into a sentence, throwing some transitions in there to make it work a little better, writing a hook, writing an emotional conclusion. That's it. That's your exam. It's easy at this point, right? If you've done all this, nothing could be easier than what you're about to do. I hope this made sense to you guys. Thanks for watching the video. Good luck making your merged timelines today. They are due by 3 o'clock. I'm looking forward to looking at them when I get home from Cleveland tonight. I really can't wait to see you guys again on Monday. I hope to be bringing back good news. As always, be well.